Well,
it's about the women.
But it's about women. Women in successful careers. A non-profit organization, I said it.
Yes.
Focused on empowering and developing professional women to contribute to development and growth in Nigeria and indeed Africa. The Win with WISCAR mentoring program is a structured mentoring program that provides strategic career advice, inspiration, guidance, and support to young career women to help them unleash their potential, navigate career pathways, achieve their objectives, foster ambitions, and nurture dreams.
All for the women.
All for the women. Now, the organization has earned a reputation for building a formidable network of focused women who will facilitate a new chapter of experience in the workplace and in organizations. Hold on. They started in 2008, inspired by Aliwa, Africa Leadership Initiatives, West Africa. Hold on. It's about, I know you're a woman. I'm the one introducing you before, so calm down. Okay. Well, I'm not exactly the one who's going to answer all these questions. I'm just trying to help you understand. And Yemi won't let me do that. So let me just...
Let the women take charge, please.
Okay. Can I leave the set?
Okay.
The founder of WISCAR is in the studio, Amina Oyabola. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So I'm the one blessed amongst women today.
Indeed, you are.
I think we're all blessed.
Yes, but I'm more blessed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so let me start out with this question. Before you came in, we were talking about regulating non-governmental organizations. Obviously, these are non-governmental organizations, non-profit. But that's not the question. 2008, you got up and decided, let's do this. Why?
Because I felt it was important to do. Because there was a gap that I saw. Because in the course of my own corporate career, which is over 31 years old now, at that time, not so long, I realized that, when I looked around, I couldn't look to, there are very few women at the top that I could look to as role models. There are very few women around that I could look to for strategic guidance and support at critical points in my career when I was struggling. Especially when after I got married and I started having kids, and I had a few challenges on the home front. I just felt that I couldn't go and discuss those issues with my male colleagues. I have to say, though, that I've been blessed with fantastic male supervisors, and those male supervisors did mentor me and enabled my progression in my career. But I felt that there was something wrong with the fact that I couldn't find any female mentors that I could go to for support and strategic guidance. And the truth of the matter is, in point of fact, is that if I did not come from the kind of family background that I come from, which is very, very supportive, I would have pulled out of the workplace mid-career. And if I had, only God can say which way my career would have, which way my career would have gone. But it was, a member of the family who at the time I wanted to actually pull out from a fantastic job said, look, Amina, don't exit now. What you're going through is temporary. What you're going through right now is temporary. Just hang in there. We will support you. And that's exactly what happened. I stayed in, and I'm glad that I stayed. So we've instituted this mentoring framework, not because the other mentoring platforms don't exist, but what we did on the advisory board was to really sit down carefully and think about the real challenges that women face, and to say an ad hoc and an informal mentoring platform would not address it. So the WISCAR mentoring, Win with WISCAR mentoring program is unique to the extent that it's a structured program over a 12-month period. And it's essentially, to keep it simple, in two segments. We identify and match the mentees who are privileged to come onto the program with customized and dedicated one-on-one mentors who mentor them through the 12-month program. And it really is a labor of love, because these are experienced and successful, very busy women who have dedicated their time. And then, of course, we complement that with an integrated program that speaks to to personal development, interpersonal development, and organizational development, and that runs through the 12 months. And in addition to that, we have a role modeling segment, which we call the Meet a WISCAR series, where we identify successful women like yourself who we can invite to the program, and they come and they share their their career journey. They share their experiences. They talk about the unwritten rules, which you will not find in a textbook and which you will not find in a business school. And they share that, and it's a closed forum where the mentees are enabled. They feel free. They feel confident enough to be able to ask those questions that they perhaps will not be able to ask of their supervisors, who of course are going to appraise them and take critical decisions concerning them. And of course we also try to ensure that we encourage the reading culture, which is fast disappearing in Nigeria.
I would say this is very interesting, and I'm sure some women who have benefited will say, well done. Especially in the face of a society that, first of all, never really or didn't want the woman out there in the workplace. I mean, she's better at home. And now the woman's coming out. There has to be that balance, home and career-wise. And then, even in the office, there are also the challenges of harassment here, different forms of harassment. So that tends to want to hamper the woman's growth. I had a conversation with a young lady this week. I heard something, so I called. She's at home, she's no longer working. So I called, said, what happened? And she said, this, that, that. And that's why I don't want to go back to that place. This particular person said this and did this. And I'm like, who did you talk to?
Exactly.
So in the 10 years that you've been, how productive would you say this venture has been?
I mean, I think that you've hit on a very, very important point, which is that and I want to just make this important point, which is that the enablement and empowerment of women is not about women themselves. It's something that all Nigerians, all people, should care about. It's a societal issue. We cannot have 193 million Nigerians, approximately 50% of whom are women, and we decide that we can run and be successful and be productive by just using 50% of them. It doesn't make sense. So the enablement and the empowerment of women, human beings, should be the concern of all of us, both men and women. Now, to answer your question directly, the issue really is about what priority attention do organizations give to gender inclusion, diversity and inclusiveness in organizations. That's the real issue. And how important within a corporate organization does the leadership take these matters? Now, in the course of my own career, I found that a lot of the time I was probably the only person in leadership at different levels. I was fortunate in the last organization I worked for, which was MTN. There were 3 of us at the executive level. But you see, this is part of the reason why, WISCAR was conceived, to support women at critical points in the early stages so that they make that cutover in mid-career, stay the course, and finally get into the leadership positions where they can really influence policies. Because it's about the institution of gender-friendly policies in organizations, is the institution of HR policies and programs that will address the issue that you just mentioned. If those policies and programs are not there, and there is no mechanism in place, whether a grievance policy, a complaints process, even the performance management process, how are the managers and the leaders measured? Does it matter? Whether they mentor their staff, whether they bring them up, whether they even track attrition, how many women leave their units. If you don't measure those things and you don't institute the relevant processes and procedures, it's not going to happen. And it's definitely not going to happen if gender diversity and issues around gender are not on top of the agenda of the CEO and the boards of those organizations. Now, there are a few organizations in Nigeria who understand the importance of the gender issues and understand the business case around it, and don't think it's women just being women and wanting to have a conversation about these issues because it makes them feel good. They understand that if you drive gender inclusion and diversity, that is going to have a bottom line impact. And the research and the data and the statistics are there. That if you have a diverse organization, your earnings, your EBITDA will increase by 14%. Your earnings before interest and tax can increase up to 15%, sometimes up to 20%. So the business case is there, and the same goes for, GDP. If we ensure that there's diversity at all levels, at the political level, at the executive level of government, if we ensure that in the nominations processes on corporate boards, and in executive committees, we wear the gender lens, and we ensure that not only do we have good representation, 30–40%, but we also ensure that we have the right quality. That's very important to us in WISCAR. The right quality, meritocracy. It's not about tokenism. It's not about just having a number there and somebody who is not competent. We want to ensure that the people that we put forward are competent, that they have the capacity to do the job, that they also have the right behavioral values. And it's only if we do that, not just in considering women that we should bring on board, but also in the selection of the men that we put in place.